You're about to step into the wildest chaos at sea, where passengers who seem to have left their brains at home accidentally become the internet's newest stars. From a guest seductively dancing and bending his body in front of the crew to drunk travelers tossing furniture into the ocean just for laughs. These are the moments every cruise line wishes never happened. Let's find out in today's episode of Cruise Now. But before we dive into the main topic, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to help me reach my first milestone of 5,000 subscribers. And like if you find the video useful, it really means a lot and gives me the motivation to keep improving both the content and video editing. Thank you so much. Let's start with a passenger so spectacularly foolish that he could make even the calmest cruiser grind its teeth. A party night on a cruise ship is supposed to be simple: eat, drink, laugh, repeat. But this group clearly missed the memo. One guy got so outrageously drunk that he decided the best use of his cabin furniture was to throw it overboard. Yes, chairs, tables, whatever he could grab, launched straight into the ocean like he was competing in some sort of Olympic room furniture toss event. To make things worse, his cabin happened to be at the aft of the ship, which basically gave him a convenient trash chute to the sea. And the cherry on top, not a single person, not one, tried to stop him. The rest of his group just stood there, laughing, filming, and treating the whole thing like late-night entertainment instead of a literal crime against both the ship and the environment. No surprise here, the guy who did the tossing is absolutely on the hook for the damages. He'll be paying for every piece of furniture he yeeted off that balcony. And yes, he's almost guaranteed to earn himself a permanent cruise ban. Congratulations, sir. You've just speed-ran your way off every major cruise line's guest list. Next up, we've got another masterpiece from the Drunk Cruiser Hall of Fame. As you probably know, cruise ships offer all kinds of daily drink packages, beer, cocktails, wine, you name it. And because humans are, well, humans, many passengers treat these packages like a personal challenge. I paid for unlimited drinks, so I will consume unlimited drinks. And that, my friends, is how chaos is born. In this particular video, instead of starting a fight or singing karaoke at 3 a.m., our intoxicated star decided to do something no one, and I mean no one, saw coming. He started peeing in the hallway. Yes, right there, in the public corridor, as if the carpet was his private bathroom and the rest of us were invisible. People nearby tried to stop him with words, because obviously no one was about to walk up and physically intervene, but nothing worked. He was fully committed. Even security showed up and had to politely wait until he was done before stepping in. Imagine that being your job. And just when you think you've seen enough drunk disasters for the day, another clip shows a different guy wobbling down the hallway, like he's walking on a trampoline before dramatically face-planting straight onto the floor. So yeah, drunk passengers, part comedy, part headache, and 100% proof that unlimited drink packages should sometimes come with warning labels. Now, let's shift to something a little lighter, but still wildly entertaining. In this clip, a passenger becomes the unofficial comedy act of the entire cruise ship. And as usual, the secret ingredient behind this performance is alcohol. Lots of it. Picture this: a man absolutely committed to living his best vacation. Life starts dancing and wiggling, his very heavy, very uncoordinated body right in the middle of the ship. The crowd watches confused, yet fascinated, like they've just discovered a rare species performing. But then he takes things too far, because of course he does. He approaches the cruise staff and begins doing the same wiggly moves right in front of them. And let me tell you, the crew did not find this charming. Within seconds, a couple of staff members step in, gently dragging him back to reality before he invents a brand new HR problem. No one got hurt, no major drama unfolded, but one thing is certain: the crew's impression of this guy definitely changed. And for the next few days, he probably felt a strong chill every time he walked past a staff member. Moral of the story: know your limits, drink responsibly, and remember, being the life of the party isn't worth it if the party no longer wants you there. And right from the start of the video, boom, you can already guess the fate of these passengers: a shiny new cruise ban. In some cases, they don't even wait until the ship gets back to port. You can get kicked off right there in the middle of your vacation. The scene looks less like a cruise hallway and more like a full-blown boxing match. One passenger throws punch after punch with zero hesitation. No feints, no warm-ups, just straight chaos. And honestly, who would dare step in? For a few terrifying seconds, everyone else just freezes watching the disaster unfold. Only when the two fighters finally pull apart for a brief moment do nearby passengers rush in to break it up. The drama technically ends there, but the consequences, oh, those are guaranteed. A future cruise ban is basically certain, and that's before we even mention the likely trip to the onboard medical center or the nearest port clinic. It's kind of ridiculous, isn't it? You go on vacation hoping for sunshine cocktails and relaxation, and you end up leaving with bruises, medical bills, and a permanent ban letter. Not exactly the souvenir anyone wants. Watching that chaotic brawl erupt on a Carnival cruise ship over something as trivial as chicken tenders is equal parts hilarious and horrifying. It's like the ultimate hangry meltdown picture: a floating paradise turned into a makeshift WWE ring with passengers flailing over fast food instead of savoring the ocean views. Personally, I can't help but chuckle at the absurdity. Vacations are meant for unwinding, not unleashing your inner gladiator over a side dish. But beneath the laughs, it's a stark reminder of how alcohol crowds and empty stomachs can ignite the dumbest conflicts. In the cruise community, think forums like Cruise Critic or X Threads folks dub it the chicken tender apocalypse, a cautionary tale that spawned endless memes and debates on etiquette. We've all got our breaking points, but this peak vacation fail. Next time, maybe pack extra snacks. Next up is a scene no one ever wants to witness on a cruise. Two female passengers getting into a heated argument right in front of the elevator. Around them, people are trying to break it up, kids are crying, and the whole area turns into a chaotic mess. To make things even more heartbreaking, near the end of the video, you can spot a visually impaired person, likely a relative of one of the passengers involved, standing right in the middle of it all, completely dragged into a situation they never asked for. Clearly, this cruise has taken a very unfortunate turn for both families. Emotional stress ruined moods, and now the very real possibility of being banned from future sailings. Remember, cruise lines absolutely do not tolerate disruptive behavior. Sometimes, just one punch, even a single slap, is enough to get you kicked off the ship at the next port. So no matter how upset you are, keeping your cool is always the smartest choice. Unless you want your dream vacation to transform into a cow. Now, we can't ignore the chaos caused by that live stream group on the Royal Caribbean ship recently. The group, known as CX Crew and led by streamer Ice Poseidon, basically live streams everything they do on Kick.com. And on a 7-night Caribbean sailing that turned out to be a very, very bad idea. Things started going downhill when member Dave Willis got into it with another passenger who politely asked him to sit down because he was blocking their view. Instead of just moving, Dave unleashed a full verbal meltdown, complete with insults, profanity, and every inappropriate phrase he could squeeze into a single rant. Then came incident number 2, which was, well, bizarre. Ice Poseidon and a few others wandered the hallways, hunting for upside-down pineapple magnets on stateroom doors, a well-known symbol for couples who enjoy, let's say, extra-friendly social activities. Every time they found one, they knocked and asked the guests if they were actually swingers. Shockingly, this was not appreciated, and that was before things really blew up. According to Ice Poseidon, 2 members, David Ryan and Dave Willis, ended up in a full-on fistfight at the pool deck after a joke went too far. The brawl was live-streamed, instantly clipped, and spread across social media. Royal Caribbean wasted no time. Both were detained and kicked off the ship at the next port, Roatán, Honduras. The remaining members thought they were in the clear, until the next morning when security knocked on their doors. 5 more were questioned for harassing passengers in an elevator while live-streaming, again something caught on camera. By sunrise, all 7 had been ordered off the ship, and, to add insult to injury, Royal Caribbean made them pay $800 for a taxi to the nearest airport in Playa del Carmen. Of course, after the cruise ends, these streamers will be reviewed to determine whether they'll receive a ban or not, but the chances of that happening are pretty high. Holy cow, that Carnival cruise ship freakout brawl video is a masterclass in vacation. Gone gloriously wrong drunk Tampa gals, turning the Lido deck into a full-on bar brawl at 3 a.m., complete with hair-pulling and security sprints. It's like Black Friday shopping, but on the high seas, all sparked by who knows what petty beef. Personally, I crack up at the unfiltered chaos. Cruises are escapism at its finest, yet this reminds us how booze and boredom can flip the script from all-inclusive bliss to eviction notice. It's entertaining AF, but a wake-up call: save the drama for the shore excursions, folks. Your shipmates aren't your therapists. Why do people still fall overboard when cruise ship railings are designed to meet strict safety standards? If it's not intentional, then what is it? In most cases, it comes down to carelessness and recklessness during risky stunts that passengers perform on their balconies. Take a look at this video. It clearly shows a group of young passengers fooling around on the ship's railing in an extremely dangerous way. One slip, one moment of imbalance, and it could have ended in tragedy. Yet, judging by their behavior, this was meant as a prank, something they filmed to chase likes and views on social media. Although their faces aren't clearly visible, hopefully the cruise line can identify those responsible. Posting such reckless acts online can encourage other teenagers to imitate them, turning a foolish prank into a dangerous trend. Even though the clip lasts less than a minute, it's enough to make regular cruisers, people seeking peace and relaxation at sea, feel a growing sense of unease about the future of cruise travel. The question is, who's responsible? Is this simply a thoughtless act by immature kids, or is it a consequence of parents failing to supervise and educate their children? Either way, such behavior should never happen on a cruise ship, where the safety of thousands of other passengers could also be put at risk. Statistics show that each year, around 20 to 30 incidents occur in which passengers fall or jump overboard. While that number is relatively small, it's enough to raise serious concerns about passenger awareness and safety culture. Whenever one of these incidents happens, public opinion often turns against cruise lines, demanding stricter regulations or even design changes to balcony structures. However, the truth is that the vast majority of passengers follow the rules and enjoy perfectly safe voyages. Therefore, banning balconies or imposing excessive restrictions would likely be an overreaction. What truly needs to be addressed is the mindset of young passengers. They must be properly educated about safety and respect for shared spaces. Parents play a crucial role here. Before letting their children join a cruise vacation, they should make sure the kids understand the risks. A single careless moment can turn into tragedy, a tragedy that could easily have been prevented with proper guidance and attention. However, many parents themselves are often complacent, unaware of the real dangers their children may face on board. Earlier this year, a terrifying moment aboard a Disney cruise ship turned into one of the most talked-about sea rescues in recent memory, and one of the most shocking parenting controversies the cruise world has ever seen. It all began as a family vacation aboard the Disney Dream. Passengers were enjoying the sunshine, kids were running around the decks, and everything seemed perfect, until a 5-year-old girl suddenly plunged into the open ocean. What followed was a dramatic and heroic act. Her father, without hesitation, dove straight into the sea after her. Both were miraculously rescued by the ship's emergency crew, and the world hailed the man as a hero. But now, months later, new details have surfaced, and they paint a far more complicated picture of what really happened that day. According to a police report, the child's mother had actually encouraged her daughter to climb up into the very porthole she would later fall from. She reportedly asked the little girl to pose for a cute vacation photo, not realizing that the porthole wasn't covered by glass or any protective barrier. Moments later, the child lost her balance and fell straight into the ocean below. In the chaos that followed, the mother screamed for help. Her husband, realizing what had just happened, frantically looked around for assistance. But when seconds started to feel like hours, he made a decision that would define his life. He sprinted toward the railing and leapt overboard. Witnesses say it took him nearly a minute to locate his daughter in the open water. Guided only by her voice, he fought against the waves until he reached her and lifted her above the surface. They floated there together for over 10 agonizing minutes, while crew members rushed to deploy lifeboats and flotation devices. Oddly, the ship's man overboard alarm didn't trigger when the child fell. It only went off after the father jumped in, a chilling reminder of how small the little girl was and how easily tragedy could have struck unnoticed. Incredibly, when the rescue team finally reached them, the girl was unharmed, not a single injury. Her father, exhausted but alive, had saved her life. You'd think that would be the end of the story, but this is where things get controversial. Instead of accepting responsibility, the mother later told authorities that Disney was to blame, saying the ship's windows should have been covered, and that Disney is responsible for what occurred. Many online were stunned. Critics accused her of deflecting blame, arguing that no parent should allow their child to climb an open porthole, especially without checking if it was safe. The detective in charge of the investigation seemed to agree. In his official report, he wrote, "Upon looking at the window myself, as a prudent person, I immediately saw that the window was open to the air and did not have a covering. This act, facilitated by the mother, placed the child in a life-threatening situation. As a result, the child fell from the ship and into the water. In an avoidable accident, he recommended that the mother be charged with child neglect. However, the local state attorney's office ultimately declined to press charges, closing the case entirely. Meanwhile, social media erupted. Some people believe the mother made a simple, tragic mistake, a lapse of judgment that could happen to anyone. Others say it's a clear example of negligence, one that could have ended in disaster. And amid all the finger-pointing, another question lingers. Shouldn't cruise ships built for families have safer designs to prevent this kind of accident in the first place? In the end, both father and daughter survived. But the story stands as a haunting reminder of how quickly a joyful family vacation can turn into a nightmare at sea. So now the question is, who really bears the blame? The mother or the cruise line? What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments. And now, let's move on to our final story, the new ban on mega cruise ships at some of the most popular tourist destinations this season. For months, whispers had been circling through the cruise world, rumors of bans, political fights, and environmental crackdowns along the sun-drenched shores of the French Riviera. But now, what began as speculation has finally become reality. Nice and Villefranche have officially closed their ports to megaships. This isn't just another bureaucratic decision. It marks the end of an era for some of the world's biggest cruise lines, including Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, and Celebrity, and the beginning of a new, more exclusive chapter for luxury travel along the Côte d'Azur. The tension had been building since early 2025. Back in January, Royal Caribbean found itself at the center of controversy when reports emerged that Nice, France, was considering banning megaships from docking at its picturesque harbor. Mayor Christian Estrosi had been outspoken about the environmental impact of these massive floating cities, calling them unsustainable and disruptive to local life. Despite repeated warnings, the ships kept coming. In March, the mayor announced a ban would go into effect starting July 1st, 2025, targeting vessels carrying more than 2,500 passengers. But when Voyager of the Seas, a 3,600-passenger giant, sailed into Villefranche anyway, the world watched as Estrosi himself confronted the ship at the dock, urging the captain and guests not to disembark. CLIA called the mayor's move illegal, saying it violated maritime regulations and clashed with agreements made under the Sustainable Cruising Charter for the Mediterranean, signed just months earlier. They demanded that the French national government step in. For a while, nothing was certain. Cruise itineraries hung in limbo. Passengers were left guessing whether their booked voyages would actually make it to Nice, and local tourism businesses were caught in the middle. Then, in late 2025, after months of political debate and environmental lobbying, the French Riviera finally took decisive action. A formal ban was issued, officially restricting megaships from entering key ports like Nice and Villefranche. The decision wasn't sudden. It was the culmination of years of frustration. Locals had long complained about the pollution, crowding, and strain on infrastructure caused by ships carrying thousands of passengers. Even smaller Mediterranean ports had started pushing back, arguing that sustainable tourism was no longer just a slogan. It was a necessity. For travelers dreaming of the French Riviera, the change is bittersweet. These bans mean that future voyages will likely favor smaller, more intimate cruise lines.